just recapping last week's game, and just really proud of the players, thankful for all of their effort and leadership, their toughness, the willingness to continue to work and develop, get better, have the right kind of mindset. Love the attitude going into that game. Guys were fearless. They were prepared. I thought we played confidently and aggressively. I thought the staff did a fantastic job on both sides of the ball, just having the guys ready to compete. If you loved anything, the physicality and just the overall execution, both offense, defense, and in the kicking game. And just loved the improvement. We challenged everybody just, hey, man, what's the one thing that I can get a little bit better at? If I get a little bit better, when you add all of that up, on the team throughout the locker room, to make the kind of improvement that we want. And so I've really been able to see that, obviously, offensively the last 4 weeks. And then, defensively, seen this team develop a really strong identity and consistent improvement. And being challenged different ways. As we know, I think we're the only team in college football that's played 7 teams that are in the current top 25 this week. And so we've had a incredibly challenging schedule, and but some things that our guys have been able to accomplish over the last month have been really noticeable. We've only given up 4 sacks. If you were looking just for improvement, we've given up 4 sacks, over our last 3 games, so that's an improvement. And I think our first 7 games we were averaging around 112 yards a game rushing, and again, our last 4 games we're averaging 227 yards a game. So really a great job, continue to improve that way. I think it aligns with, having the same offensive line, several weeks in a row, certainly helps that. And, we've improved our rush defense this year. We talked about that a week ago, and we continue to do that. Again, we're going against some good teams that know how to run the football. And so that's been, something that is really good to see as well. And then I think our scoring defense, we've played 5 teams that are in the top 17 on offense, and we've been able to hold those teams below their averages. And just proud of the defense. They've showed up week in and week out and given us a chance to win every game. And coming out of the game, I think last week, if there was something, because we've been talking about that in front of our team a lot, but if we take care of the ball and do some basic, simple things that winning requires. There's not a team that we can't compete with, and not a team that we can't beat on our schedule. And we've shown that. Several of our losses, we either didn't win the turnover battle on all 5 of them, or we just couldn't sustain drives, and for lots of different reasons. And so we've been able to put together a little more consistency that way, and we got into a fantastic rhythm, on both sides of the ball, and we're able to overcome some early miscues in this game and some other games against good people. We haven't been able to overcome those things. So I think that's a sign of maturation and improvement. And we're doing it with a lot of, as we talked about a week ago, a lot of youth as well, and that's exciting to know what the future holds from that standpoint. Got a great opponent in LSU. I think they've won maybe 21 of their last 22 home night games, and have been fantastic. And a really talented football team that I think leads the SEC in least amount of sacks given up, and have some fantastic wide receivers, maybe the league's best tight end, and really just Garrett Nussmeier is a fantastic player. I think they have 7 games where he's thrown for 300-plus yards and 2 games where he's thrown for 400-plus yards. So going to be a different type of challenge this week. Brian Kelly is a proven winner. It's a very well-coached football team. They're a really aggressive defense. They've recruited really well over the last several years there. I think they're second in the SEC in time of possession. They've had excellent game control, and they've lost to some really good teams, and then lost to Florida in a game they dominated from a game control standpoint. I think they had 90-plus plays in that game offensively, and Florida only had 52, 53 plays total in the game. But I think Florida beat them in the big play category, which was huge. It was, and then LSU got into the red zone several times and came away with no points, and recipe for losing, and as we know, but a team that leads the SEC, one of the best in college football. I think fifth nationally on third downs offensively. They're averaging 50% conversion rate on third down, which is just outstanding. So that's one of the game control things, and they've been able to stay on schedule, both running and throwing, and so going to be a great challenge on Saturday night, but something our players are really looking forward to.
We're starting to see some of the national media label your defense as an elite defense. In your eyes, do you have an elite defense, or how close are you to being an elite defense?
I mean, I haven't looked at all of the defensive numbers. I know we've been challenged. I'm very careful to use that word. That was an elite performance. And just true serum, we gotta win on 3rd and 16, 2 weeks ago. And that's to take nothing away from where we're at, what we've accomplished, and what we're capable of. I believe in these guys. I wouldn't trade them for anybody. I love how they're playing. I love how they prepare. I love the passion, the leadership, the physical toughness, the mental toughness, the humility. I can brag on these guys for a long time. And let's see what the season's body of work looks like. And that's what I would say. They're not going to be without fault. They're not going to make every play. They're not going to make every stop in order to be an elite defense. But they've done a lot of things that you would associate, with an elite defense. They have done that. I love the improvement that I've seen them have this season. I've had plenty of seasons where we didn't get better, and you hate that. And this is a season that these guys have continued to come to work in a really tough, challenging. You guys have probably written stories about it. I know you've asked me questions about it. Well, how's the defense not point fingers? How do they not give up on the other side of the ball? Or, how do they stay motivated? And for me, it's easy. We focus on our standards. We focus on things that we can control. Zion Kearney or Jackson Arnold or Bauer Sharp, they're not going to sack the quarterback. They're not going to stop anybody in the A gap. They're not going to play the post. They're not going to stay in the half field. So we need to focus on things that we can control. But I've been really proud and thankful. I love the maturation. I love the youth that's adding with the veterans. Our best players and our oldest guys are playing their best football, and that's really cool to see. And they show up every day with great pride and great respect for how we do what we do, and I love how they're pouring into their teammates on the other side of the ball too, supporting them, encouraging them, challenging each other every day. The offense has had plenty of success against the defense at practice and are good on good stuff, and man, there's a mutual respect, and I love how they're challenging each other every day to get better. So they have a lot of the characteristics that, again, you would associate, again, with an elite group. I think their performance and the improvement from where we ended last year to where we're at right now, man, there's a lot to be salute to and to give them props for. But we've got a couple more games, and I don't want them to be satisfied by any way. Last week was last week. Got to start over yesterday. And certainly look at what we did well and try to build on that momentum and find things that we didn't do well and get better, and know that this week is going to present a completely different challenge and requires a completely different mindset. Some things are the same, just in regards to our preparation, but going on the road is a real thing. Winning the SEC is incredibly difficult. Winning in Baton Rouge is a whole nother challenge, but external factors don't win for you. but it's going to be hostile, and our players are going to have to embrace the chaos of game day on the road and have a great, focused intensity and passion. And execution is what wins for you. Taking care of the ball is what wins for you. Being physical and playing with great effort are the things that win for you. And the defense is going to have to, more than do their part to give us a chance, on Saturday night. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Brent, you talk about that hostile environment. What's the toughest place you've ever coached in during your career, and just how big of a factor can that be to play in a place like that, like out here for y'all, things like that?
There's probably just a handful of some places that they're all kind of like grouped in there, but playing in New Orleans against LSU twice for the national championship in 19 and 04 are the probably the first two on that list. And I mean that sincere. It was deafening. Could not hear on the headsets, and so those are two of the places in that state against that team. Two tough, challenging environments, and that's what we'll probably experience. One.
Like true road environments. I know obviously that is really a true road environment, but
yeah, I mean, again, A&M is on the road and really good game. Been at Georgia was a great environment. At Florida State, and they had some really good teams there. Were really challenging. South Carolina, when Coach Spurrier was there, they had some really good teams, and that's going to playing Clemson is going to bring out the very best in the fan base there in Columbia. Those are some things that, or some places that come to mind right away. Kansas State in 2000, that was deafening when they blocked a punt, and Teddy Lamy gave up that punt, let the guy run right by him, Drew Thalman, he buried it, and Terrence Newman scooped it for a touchdown. Not that we haven't moved on from that, but that was electric. That night, Cotton Bowl. That we certainly have experienced some great settings in that environment as well. Yep.
Yeah, Brent, you've clearly rebuilt the defense from where it was before you got here. You're trying to work on the offense now. Mm-hmm. Clearly, is it easier to build up an offense and create the kind of offense you want than it is to create the kind of defense you want?
Wow, that's a great question. My first answer would be yes. That's my inclination. Only, I use this reference with this defense that for a decade wasn't very good, and everything that comes with that mindset, culture, roster, the things that you had to tear down and start over with there, developing, the confidence and what that vision looks like was a really challenging thing. Having perspective and knowing what excellence looks like, but also being able to affirm improvement, which I'm not very good at. But we still stink, was what I wanted to say, but you can't, you're dealing with a fragile group a few years ago, and how hard they were working. That part was easy to affirm them, hey man, you guys are doing the right things. We weren't very good. I think, being right at the right positions, having good play at the right positions offensively, you can build around and maybe have success quicker, and to build on the play off of the strengths that we had. But none of it's easy. But I think that's fair to say, and I think that we've shown when we don't take care of the ball, it doesn't look very good. But when we have taken care of it with a young, inexperienced, injured group of guys, we can still win games. We've got to be good in the right spots around them. Kicking game, field position, defense, and so we've proven that. And with the continued development, I think we've seen that. Again, we can have that type of performance. I don't assume that's going to happen week in and week out if we just take care of the ball. But we showed against a really good team that's playing as good as anybody in the country what we can do when we put it all together and play a little cleaner on offense. So I think that's fair to say, Barry, to answer your question.
Yeah, Brent, while you're going through this offensive coordinator search, a lot of people want to say, oh, you need an air raid offense or a spread offense, maybe more pro style. You're seeing that more in college football these days. Do you have a preference on a scheme, or is there a scheme that you feel like in this league specifically you're seeing more success with? Because it feels like there's a lot of different offenses that you could go to.
Yeah, it's one that's efficient, that's going to attract great players, that has a reputation in a scheme-friendly system that's going to attract, great quarterbacks and skill guys, running backs, tight ends, receivers. That's, I think, really important. How can we win? What style of offense that we can win in this league? So you look at the styles through the years that have been successful, and we've seen them all. Something that that can transition quickly with the roster that we have. And again, we do know that you can quickly change a roster, through the current systems that we have in college football. But something that gives you the right kind of balance: run, pass, efficiency, ball control, explosiveness, quarterback friendly. To me, you look at systematically something that you don't have to have a generational 5-star best quarterback in the portal every year to have a really successful, efficient offense that gives us a chance to win our conference, compete at the highest level, to be an offense that can do its part to help us get to the playoffs and win. And so I don't mind having a generational 5-star best guy in the country at quarterback, but something that maybe people have proven have some type of a track record that shows that when we lose that guy, this is an offense that still produces and puts stress on a defense and scores points, moves the ball. Yardage may or may not be important. Again, we look at the things I just said: efficiency in all the right spots, good in the red zone, good on 3rd, 4th down, has good ball control. Can make the explosive plays, can win games, do the things that's necessary to win games. But I like an offense that has some flexibility and win different ways. And so if that looks like 5 wides, and that looks like ninja, if that looks like I-backs, if that looks like 13 and 14 personnel, if that looks like 12 personnel, all things are certainly under consideration. But again, I look at what does it take to win and compete in our league. Against the best teams.
Did the way you guys won on Saturday and able to run the ball, chew the clock, did that change your perspective at all, or was that just a one-off effect?
I think that's a great way to win. I don't think that hasn't been in alignment with what we wanted before. I think this staff has done a really good job the last month of, taking kind of a messy situation for all the right reasons, not just. Okay, Coach Venables made a mistake, if you will, and I hired the wrong guy. It obviously wasn't the right guy. And I don't want to. It's not centered on Seth. I failed, and I own that. I'm not. That's not earth-shattering news. Okay, now I got it. What I got to do to fix it, and so what do we have to do as a staff now? And I think this staff has done a really good job of trying to figure that out, get better every week, put together a great game plan, but also figure out, okay, what does this group of guys, what is this team, what can we do? What do we need to do this week? Because what we need to do this week might look a little different than what we needed to do or what we could do a week ago. That's the facts. That's just week in and week out. It's all maybe a little bit different. But I really... again, what they were able to do and keep Alabama off balance, and the efficiency, the physicality, the precision, the discipline that we played with on offense, and how that aligned with what we were doing, on defense. That's certainly what you want it at the end result is what you want it to look like. And you can do that lots of different ways. You can throw the ball efficiently and then run it when you need to. We ran the ball really efficiently, and then we threw it when we needed to. But we stayed on schedule. At the end of the day, stayed on schedule. We do know there's different ways that you can do that, and again, you want to play to your players' strengths and maybe what this week's game plan can present based on who you're playing to. And I think that's the art of what, having a system that's adjustable, flexible, adaptable, a week in and week out, but also has an identity. Toughness, physicality. You got to be able to run the ball at every level of football, but you do have to throw it. You can't just do one thing, but we need to be efficient. And then, like I mentioned, LSU, they're 50% conversion rate on 3rd and 4th downs. You're doing a lot of great things. You probably obviously have a great play design and a good catalog on 3rd and 4th down. But you also probably have done a good job of staying on schedule to give yourself an efficient opportunity there where your back's not against the wall and where you make it hard on people in those situations as well.
Thanks, Brent.
Yep.
Brent, you touched on Nussmeier in your opening statement. He's an interesting guy in college football. He's a veteran, maybe didn't have the mass number of starts coming into this year, but what have you kind of seen as you study him, as his growth to continue to keep LSU efficient?
Yeah, I look back all the way to what we studied in the out of season and watching him in the bowl game against Wisconsin and he did a nice job in that game. But what they're doing with him now is different. He's taken a next step. You can see the trust that they have in him, and they're playing to what this team has developed into. Kyron Lacey and Aaron Anderson. They've really stepped up. The offensive line has been what they thought it would be and hoped it would be from a veteran group that is very talented, that, again, leading the SEC and least amount of sacks given up and one of the best in college football on 3rd and 4th down, being a really efficient group of guys. But they've, because of his development and improvement, Garrett, I'm talking about, and the group of players that he has around him, from their, Mason Taylor at tight end and their receivers, have some young backs, but you really have seen him. He's completing 63% of his passes and 2-to-1 touchdown to interception, ratio, and he moves around really well. So they're taking advantage of that. They boot him, they roll him out, they dash him, they sprint him, and so he can do a great job keeping his eyes down the field and throws the ball really, really well on the move. And so you're seeing a guy and I love his toughness, his guts he plays with. Really, everything goes through him. He's had a really good year. Mm-hmm.
Brent, Eli Bowen's off to a great start in his career, and he's not your prototype, and that he's not 6'1" or something like that, but he's so really good with what he does. You've often said if your corners can handle the island, your rest of your defense could really come along. I'm curious if you feel like you're closer, because this Saturday, LSU will try to go vertical a bunch, and talk about that matchup within the matchup there.
Yeah, Eli has played really well, and he's passed all the tests, if you will, thus far, and we've bragged on him a lot. I know, so I don't want to be too redundant, but he probably is more of the prototype, to believe it or not. You look at the NFL, most of them, the average is under 6 feet, and shoot, who wouldn't want big long creatures outside that can cover really well? But for whatever reason, the averages are under 6 foot in the NFL, the best ones, and that's not to say there aren't some great ones that are really big, and we'll take them whatever size they come in, and I'm just very honest. But he plays big, as we have talked about, but he's just a very patient player. He's a very skilled player. He understands the game. Within the game, he understands situational football. A lot of young guys, a lot of old guys, they lose themselves. They forgot that last down was 2nd and 10 and it was an incomplete. Now it's 3rd and 10, and they want to press, like it's 3rd and 3 and it's 3rd and 10. So maybe you want to give a little cushion and make the quarterback hold the ball a little longer, because the route, detail is going to be a little bit longer. So you don't want to if you get beat early, it's a wrap. And so he has a lot of maturity from a situational standpoint, knowing when you get into the red zone how to play coverage is different than when you're, the offense is coming off their own goal line. And so we've bragged on that part. That to me is a piece that helps separate him from a lot of young players. His ability to take what you do in practice and take it to the game day and the situational, how that affects your coverage and things of that nature. But he's got good natural instincts and a really good natural skill set, and was well coached in high school systematically there at Denton Geyer. So he came in prepared. The system that he was exposed to in high school and the level of play helped him transition rather quickly. Yeah, I mean, again, they're a challenge, no matter how you look at it, but we've got a lot of confidence in Eli and what he can do, and his development has really helped us focus on. Not that we don't focus with him; he gets as much coaching as anybody every day, but it has really helped our defense grow. And focus on maybe the other corner spot or maybe other parts of your defense that need a little more, love and tenderness. And because of his consistency, I don't want to take that for granted, but that's really helped our defense take another step.
And Brent, for the last month, we've asked how have you kept the 2025 recruiting class together. So now we'll flip it. After a night like Saturday, what's been the recruiting jolt you've had since that moment, and how important to have that type of performance with recruits here in Norman and the ones who are watching on TV?
Well, again, I would be naive if I acted like it didn't have a positive effect. I don't know what the odometer on that says, but other than, I've been doing this a long time, so I know certainly when to play off of that and when to see what I've been saying. Just affirmation. Hey, we're getting better. There's a lot to be excited about in the future. And if we put it all together and Oklahoma doesn't beat Oklahoma, this is what we're capable of. And this is an opportunity to say, that's what didn't we just say that a week ago? It's the simple, basic things. And so we certainly have tried to promote that and nurture that. I think that's fair in this, very difficult space where you're trying to create belief. And again, we're not recruiting against just anybody. We're recruiting against really good programs that have a lot to sell. We're not the only good program. But in an alignment with the University of Oklahoma, an alignment with the SEC Conference, an alignment with the development opportunities with this staff, an alignment with a really good locker room and culture, and a great foundation of youth and experience with the recruiting classes that we have in front of them. These guys want to know that they're going to be around a lot of other good players so that they can compete at the highest level. So we have a lot to sell that way, and certainly last week's performance is affirmation for that.
Brandon, I wanted to ask you about Xavier Robinson, who's obviously played really well the last couple of weeks, but just he didn't play a ton to start the year. So I just wanted to ask, what was his growth process going through the year, and then has there been any surprise that he's been able to come in late and play this well? Yeah,
again, he's in line, and we talked about a little bit last night on our show. Had an okay spring. I don't want to sound mean, but I'm telling you the truth. There was a little bit of struggle, his weight issue, and just being consistent, knowing what to do. His head was spinning a little bit, fumbled the ball a lot. When he got some opportunities, you get limited opportunities as a freshman. Eli got limited opportunities. When he got in there, he did well. And that's how you earn trust and earn opportunity. And again, you're coming in a room that was returning some good players. And then early in the year, I just said that we averaged 112 yards. Anybody that got in didn't look great, but we did get. There were some signs that Javante Barnes was coming back in good form. And Taylor Tatum got in the game early in the year, and he actually looked good. Just we didn't look consistent. And we averaged 112 yards, and so, but through some guys getting banged up and a change in the coordinator, he did get some opportunity, and when he got in, he did well. And so I mentioned Quentin Griffin. We couldn't tackle him on, right? Nobody recruited Quentin. Not very many people recruited Xavier, not at least really highly thought of schools. He wasn't a highly in this state. He was rated maybe the third or fourth best player in the state, but I think Iowa State was one of his best offers, committable offers. And anyway, Xavier might know more than me, but about that. But Quentin Griffin came in here as a backup on his high school team, but we couldn't tackle him on defense in '99. We weren't good at tackling anybody in '99, but we certainly couldn't tackle him. And then it took maybe 2 or 3 running backs that got hurt, and finally Quentin got his opportunity. I know we weren't very good at coaching back then either, but then he got over there and had a good finish to the year. And then next thing you know, it becomes I think when he finished, he was maybe the 5th all-time in rushing yards in the history of Oklahoma football. It was pretty good. We've been good at running back, but those dumb coaches in the first part of his career didn't know what the hell they were doing, and he was stuck on the scout team. And so we finally got out of our own way because of injuries, and he got in. And sometimes that happens, but also Xavier didn't have this amazingly smooth start. Eli Bowen and Jaden Jackson, on the other hand, they came in, they knew the playbook. They took great detail, or took to the meetings with great detail, prepared. When they got in as freshmen in the spring, they did really well. You heard us brag on those guys at that time. Limited amount of opportunity, but those opportunities grew because of when they did get their small window of opportunity. They really capitalized on that, and Xavier took him a little longer to do that, but. Thank goodness, right? Better late than never. And DeMarco finally smartened up, and I'm just having some fun. Give me a break, right? I need to be able to do that just a little bit. I have, trust me, I ask the same questions, and but anyway, we're doing our best right now. But it's great to see him having some success, and if Taylor, if he takes care of the ball, man, that can be a heck of a tandem. And then Javante comes back, and now we get Gavin coming back, being healthy off of his thigh. Man, that can be a heck of a room, and we've known that all year. We're hopeful for that, but we got to take care of the ball. We know that, but we just getting a little bit better, and it was great. It's 3 straight weeks. I think Maine and at Missouri, and then here against Alabama, playing his best football as a freshman here at the end of the year. So thankful for him sticking with it and continue to come to practice every day and getting better, and Coach Murray and the staff giving him an opportunity. So that's been really good to see. Mm-hmm.
Brad, you said you wanted to have a little fun, so I wanted to ask you about something that you mentioned on your radio show last night.
I'm usually not a no fun kind of guy, so that's rare for me.
Get you a Taco Bell.
Everything that looked good on the menu. So here's what a coach goes through on game day. At least me. I'm a workout early morning, have a great breakfast, and then maybe have a smoothie or something. Just closer to get to game day, you don't want to take a nap. So by the time I'm done with the radio show on a night game, and with the media and with recruits and with the players and the staff, and get in the car and get home, I'm ready to chew an arm off of somebody. So girls say go to Taco Bell, man, let's go. And it's a long line, but man, it was worth the wait. It was so long, I had to go inside and go to a bathroom break while we waited for the food. We had to pull over. We ordered so much food, they couldn't get it all ready. We ordered everything, and whatever they had put inside of a tortilla, the crunchy stuff, man, it's really, I have no idea what it was. And but we smashed that and had some fun, but anyway, it's good. It's good. It's worth the wait.
Coach, it's amazing to me that I think there might have been 2 completions to wide receivers the other night, yet you were able to do what you did. It seems Deion Burks would be really important if you could get him back. I wondered if you think he will come back now, and also his tragedy that he's had to deal with the home and everything with his situation.
Yeah, it's still up in the air, and we'll see where he's at. You know, I think he had a history of concussions at Purdue, and so you know, you keep track of all that history. It's a very delicate thing, and but he's as tough as they come. I bragged on his toughness in the wintertime and how competitive and tough he's been since he's been here. So battling it back and overcoming, he had a grade 2 thigh contusion tear confirmed by an MRI. So he was dealing with that, and he came back from that, and then was great. But all of that pales in comparison to what you go through as a family. I've never had that happen, to me, but you know what they had to deal with, but what they've had to overcome through that. And his family's still at a hotel and will be for the foreseeable future. But he's been great. You know, he really wants to get back, and he loves his team and has loved his opportunity. I know he loves Coach Jones and believes in his teammates. But we'll see what the future holds both this week and even after that. He's a guy that's going to have to make some decisions. He can get drafted pretty high. I'm no draft expert, but I know that a lot of receivers are taken early in the first several rounds, and he's a guy that he's definitely has the NFL, and God willing, he has that in his future immediately. And so we'll see where that all lands. But a lot of good players, and a lot of good players that have a a history of tape too that they can sell. And certainly he has that a little bit here, and certainly at Purdue. But we're there for him to support him and help him. And if he comes back, it's because we've dotted all the I's and crossed the T's from a health standpoint. And those are nothing. The concussions are nothing to play around with.
So you don't have a feeling one way or another, definitely. And then right, and then Farouk, any chance?
Yeah, he had a little bit of a setback at Missouri, and so X-rays and showed a little bit of a setback there. So really just kind of unfortunate. Jake Roberts says he had a similar type of injury, and he's come back and has had a great year. And so everybody's a little bit different.
Just a few more. John Hoover.
Yeah, Brent, you talked about the OC earlier in the scheme. I wanted to ask you more about your thoughts on the person that you want to hire. Less about the scheme, more about the person. Qualities, for instance, what are his work habits? Who are his references? Who has he worked for? Did he play the position? What's important to you as you start to analyze?
You just went check, 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 check. You certainly want people that they've worked with have good things to say about them. Their leadership style, their energy, what kind of a teammate are they? Their toughness, their ability to recruit, their ability to adapt, their humility, the things that they value. What all that, maybe, again, and it doesn't all have to fit in a nice, tidy box either, but what did they play in did they play in college? Some of the best ones never even played in college. So, again, you always have a perspective with all of it, but and then where have they been? What does the tape say? Have they been able to be successful with the hand that they've been dealt? So you look at all of that, and I think it's important that wherever they come from, people have good things to say. Hey, and another thing, and not looking for a choir boy, but also we want to. We get to choose, and so we want to find someone that aligns with again a belief system and a value system that we share. But at the same time, can we get better through this? They don't have to be. Nobody everybody has to be just like me, or just like what we've had in the past. So we've kept an open mind about all of it, and then trust. There's analytical data that. And you want it to say something. It tells a story. What does it say?
Is there a preference, young guy with new ideas versus an older guy with more established credentials?
Oh, yeah, I think that fit, and I think older can fit. I think younger can fit with the things that you just said. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, so, Coach, you know, people have different opinions about playing non-conference games late in the season, but it looks like you made the most of yours. How important was that main game when you ran for 381 yards in helping you reshape your offensive identity?
Yeah, I think we talked about those things both pre-game without being disrespectful to your opponent, and then certainly bragged on all with understanding of the quality of maybe what we're lining up against, but making it more about the precision, the execution, the confidence that the young guys most young guys, some are stronger than others, but everybody has some degree of vulnerability and maybe some self-doubt, and just developing some confidence and putting something on tape other than practice. Like, man, look, see what you're capable of. And executing against, again, a well-coached team. Certainly we played off of that in all the right ways like you would expect us to. And so there's a real place for that. And if I go all the way back to Bill Schneider, just, at that time when Coach Schneider got to Oklahoma, or got to Kansas State rather, if I learned something just as a fly on the wall there, talked about building belief through success, regardless of who it was against. A program that at one point had the most losses or with a losingest team at a time, certainly had a 3 or 4 year window, didn't win a game until they beat North Texas, who at the time was 1AA, and broke this 3 or 4 year streak of not winning a game, but developing confidence through success, regardless of who you're playing, and did that. He had one of the worst non-conference, and that's what we did, and beat the brains out of people. But for a long time, we didn't beat the brains out of people, but we won. And next thing you know, all of those things led credibility. The success led credibility to the process and the mindset, and the things that it takes to win, and winning in the mind before you ever went on the field. And so that development, certainly is great. So if you had a veteran team that was just humming right along and you have that game late, then maybe it allows you to develop the backups or that third or that fourth team too. Or maybe it gives them the wind in their sails. Some of the freshmen that were used to being the guy and didn't play a lot during the season, and then late in the year they get a little shot in the arm by going out there playing 35, 40 snaps and dominating some people, and you carry that into the out-of-season, bowl preparation, winter conditioning, spring ball, and it really can be a springboard for their growth, development, and maturity.
You ended up actually getting out of your car at the Taco Bell and going in.
Mm-hmm.
So I can only imagine what it was like. What was it like interacting with people? Because did people stop you?
I got a few double takes, but I got in and got out. So it was good.
Yeah, Brent, given your past, do you have any impassioned takes on which is the real Death Valley between Clemson and LSU?
Yeah. Well, let me just look at these stats here. The one that we're going into this week, again, 14-1 in home night games since Coach Kelly's been there in 3 years. They're 18-2 overall, 18-2 overall at home. Listen, I've heard from every coach that I love and respect that's been in all the biggest venues, the best of the best, and everybody points to Death Valley, Baton Rouge, night game. Hope that your team doesn't have to be scheduled, because that's the toughest challenge there is in college football. So I know we're going to get the best out of the LSU faithful. But it's something that you're really looking forward to as well. You love a challenge, and you know that's going to be a real thing. But you tell your players, again, that external factors don't win. Execution, physicality, effort, do the things that we can control. So, but something that I'm looking forward to.
Is that title though, Death Valley, something you guys took pride in at Clemson? Because I know there's a back and forth between the fans.
I mean, there's history, both. I don't, there's a real history that, there's a paper trail, if you will. There's a rock trail that goes back to Death Valley, California for Clemson. And I remember as a kid, didn't know where Clemson was. Hell, when I was an adult, I didn't know what town Clemson was in. I'm like, what town is that in? What, Clemson, and what state is that? I didn't even know what state it was in. I just thought Clemson was a college. I didn't know it was also the town name, and I certainly didn't know. I just knew there was a mystical hill that I thought came out of nowhere. And where'd they come from? It seemed like an intimidating thing, and it really is. It's in its own right, incredibly intimidating, loud environment, as good as there is. Mm-hmm.
Stutzman's a Butkus finalist, but you got Kip Lewis, who's in his first year really starting. He's shown to be a big-time playmaker. What's his ceiling? You've seen a bunch of linebackers. How good can he be, and kind of what's got him to this point?
Yeah, Kip is one of my favorite guys because he's always smiling. He loves to practice. He loves to compete. He's kind of been my juice whisperer, when I'm mad at the world and feeling sorry for myself. He's a guy that always he's just got a light inside of him, just smiling and, Coach, man, I got you. And always at the right time. He's a fantastic player, great instincts, plays really big, just a ball magnet. He has a very unorthodox way of how to slip blocks and knife in there and club guys' feet out from underneath them. And the ceiling is limitless. I feel like Kip has a chance to play the game a long time. He's a 3-down linebacker. He's coming into his own if he really commits himself to the next level of detail and the next level of physical development, taking care of his diet and in the out of season and building his body to have a body that aligns with the wear and tear that you got to have. The ability to endure the course of a season, man, there's no limits on what he can accomplish. But I think he's the next really special one. We've got a great group. We've been bragging on that group for a couple of years, and he has really flashed the last couple of years. But man, he's a playmaking machine, and one that I'm really proud of him. He's become a great leader, and the guys, when he was a captain, and this year did a great job. Really stepped into that role in a great way.
Thank you, Coach.
Appreciate you.